Hello, welcome to a very special video. Today I am going to be talking with you. We're going to have a chat. And today I am bringing some news that I think is time to bring it to the table. I think it's time for me to speak about it and to give a formal announcement. Necessary, and it's important for me to release all that I am feeling in the best way possible through this video to be able to move forward. I want to formally explain why I left Kenya, what led me to it, and why I didn't give any explanations about my movement. Today, I want to publicly announce that Marwa and I are separated. I am very grateful for my relationship with Marwa because it gave me Maisha, our son. When I left Kenya, I didn't say a word, at least in social media, because I didn't want to make a lot of noise about it. I wanted to be able to live at peace or peacefully. I wanted to be able to process everything that was happening more in an intimate way and not with all the voices from the outside if me or Mara would have said something about it. It wasn't an easy decision. It really took me a lot of time, a lot of months, a lot of second chances, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of trying. And even though I needed to make this decision of parting because I couldn't take it anymore, but at the same time it was extremely painful and I needed to, and things were getting worse and I needed a change. If I have to be extremely honest, I think a lot of women will relate with me that a woman never leaves from one day to another or out of nowhere. I think a woman never leaves without first trying to explain, to express herself, to express her needs, to try to make it work, to try to make it better, to try to try. And I'm going to say this because this is something that happened in a lot of relationships where this is actually the moment where men are not really able or open to fully understand us, to fully listen to us, to fully hear us. And this is the moment where we are the most misunderstood. This is the moment when we are called names like either you're crazy, you complain all the time, nothing satisfies you, you're so hard to please, I work so hard and you don't see, you're ungrateful. And the list goes on, right? But it's very important because we always tried to give it a twist. We try to make it work, especially when there is a child involved, like in my case. Then it comes a time when we live. We live first in our heart, and then we live physically. And then from the masculine side is out of nowhere for them. And this is something that happens a lot, not just in my case. I think also in previous relationship I did experience a little bit of that. And I know it's a very common thing. My relationship with Marwa was a very extreme leap of faith. I think I express and I share this story multiple times that when I met him, I was really praying to meet my future husband, the father of my children, and I was ready to commit for a very serious relationship. But I was living in a place full of movement and travelers. Even me, I was a traveler, and I'm very used to say hello and say goodbye very often. I was living in a place where people were just having a good time, and staying for a very short period of time and then leaving. So I think maybe that place wasn't the best place to find a very serious relationship, but it's not really the case for everyone. In my case, I found it. But we didn't had a lot of time to get to know each other. That's why it was just to surrender and to trust that things could work. Before a period of meeting people that were ready to say goodbye, I met Marwa, that he really expressed himself ready to say, let's try it. Come to Africa and let's do this. For me, it was extremely risky, yes. I was extremely doubtful, yes. I did know Marwa from before, no, not at all. We just met maybe for a week. And I had no idea who it was on the social media. I believe that sometimes people think, I read this type of comments multiple times, like she knew what she was getting herself into. And that's not true. I had no idea who he was. Didn't follow him. I didn't know about his existence, his reputation, his history. I didn't know about anything. When I did a little research, I did love what I saw, not really. And that was actually brought some doubts in, should I really give it a try? But I didn't want the internet or the videos to be his reputation and to be judgmental about that, because I know 100% that what you see on the videos is not the full picture. And what you see on the video, sometimes it's not even the real person. So I really felt that there was nothing for me to lose. I'm a bold woman. I took many risks before. I left my country alone, and I traveled alone for 4 years before meeting Marwa. I am a very courageous woman. I'm a go-getter. I am, most of the time, if it's God's willing, I get what I want. And I really felt my previous relationship, I was coming from a previous relationship of 5 years, and I had my couple of years single already, and I was feeling like I was ready for that next big stage. I wasn't looking for another boyfriend. That's why I was sharing at the beginning of the video, my heart was already set for my husband, I was ready for that. I was ready to be with someone who I can create a family with, and everything to be more intentional. And Mara actually showed himself in that way. And when all those fears and doubt came right in front of me, I didn't want those fears just to be, to stop me for something maybe great that could happen to me, So, so I took the risk, and I flew to another continent, to a new country, alone, to live with a man that I didn't know. I would do that again. I think yes, I would do that again. Like, I do regret doing that. Not really, because that move was the one that was going to help me to get to know him, to get to see how he lives, to meet the family, his background, where he's coming from. Um, so no, I don't regret taking that risk um, at all. I do wish that maybe we would have had a longer time for him to show this conquer part. Yes, I guess that's what it would have been good, like to show more effort, and try to get to know me. But things move so fast, and he showed himself so confident about it, and you don't meet people like that every single day. I think I come from this generation where everyone is learning to let go, and this fear of commitment that everybody has. So that was a shocking expression, and I kind of like it. I liked it. And he claimed that I could trust him. I did find some lies after he met me, and he went and kept on meeting other women and stuff like that. And he was promising that nothing was happening. A woman always finds the truth. Long time after that, yes. Long time after that. The issue was that moving to Kenya and start like living together, and this moment where I think is very interesting and important. I don't know the word in English right now, but it's especially when the man is trying to conquer the woman and going on dates and showing this interest. That kind of disappeared when I moved to Kenya, because I found this very busy man in the middle of a huge party with a lot of people. And then it was, and the environment, I really risk it all. I really risk it all because I moved to this village where there's actually not a lot of things to do, or at least things that please me to do, to also like continue with my life the way that it was used to, trying to have the activities that I used to have, and surroundings, environment, everything was very, very different. And it became very lonely for me as well. Then the pregnancy happened very fast. Yes, that happened very, very fast. Do I regret? Not at all. Not at all, because Maisha has been the biggest blessing for me. And that's the thing when I take a look back, and I wonder why all these things happen, when maybe I remember the ugly part of it. And when I wonder how did I allow myself to be in that position to tolerate those things, etc. The only answer that comes to my mind that brings me peace is because Maisha was meant to be born. Maisha was meant to be born with Rocio as a mother and Marwa as a father. At least that's the one that brings me an answer that brings peace to my heart. Culturally, yes, I started to realize. It's not that I didn't know. As I'm telling you, I jumped. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't even did a research on how the Kenyan culture was, how the African men were. I didn't do anything. I didn't overthink. I just went. And so that's when I started to understand that culturally we were very, very opposite in many things. I come from one of the most affectionate cultures ever, ever, ever. And from the other hand, he comes from one of the less affectionate cultures ever. And I was really surprised, like why God would bring two people like that together. He knows why. But I think we still gave it a try. We continue to get to know each other, and I will admit that even though it was very hard for me at the beginning to, most of the time, woman, we want to feel wanted, we want to feel desired, and it was like this thought in my mind, like, if he doesn't really want me or desire me, or it's just the culture. And I understood, and I had to learn that it was the culture. In this case, I feel like everything was about me really studying Marwa, and Marwa really studying Rocio. I think I effort myself more than he did. Probably from his point of view, everything is opposite, of course, because it's most of the time it was a battle of ego. So it was this romantic part that was very necessary for me. It was very insistent, but I continue carrying and trying, because all the advices around that, culture differences, give it a try to learn each other, I wasn't really like open to give up so quickly. Even though there was those parts that were absent in a common relationship, or what is common for me, I didn't want to give up that easy on this relationship, because of everything that we were doing, or everything that I did from my side to come and create this relationship, to commit, One of the things that Marwa asked me at the beginning, it was like, don't come with just one leg, Like, put both legs on the boat if you want to come and do this. So I actually did it. Later, I felt very lonely on that boat. Yes, unfortunately, yes. Multiple times I felt very lonely in that boat. But all of this process took 2 years, and yes, the pregnancy came extremely early. Yes, there is a part of me that sees it as a mistake for this fast things happening, No, because don't misunderstand this. Don't take it out of context, because I love Maisha, and if I have to do all of this again, knowing that Maisha is coming, I would do it again. But yeah, of course, becoming a mother for me was something that was very, that was deep down there in my heart for someday to happen. And I still want more children. Absolutely. But yes, Mara really pushed that idea for us to do it, for us to build a family, for us to let's have a kid, and everything. So I can say that he convinced me, yes. And we were having a lot of pressure from his mother. To be honest, one day I was recording a video and she came, and I was recording, and she came to tell me, why you're not pregnant yet? And I stopped the video and I deleted. I never showed that video in camera just for a matter of respect to her. But that was a total disrespect to me. She stopped doing those things because I told her that she had to stop. But yes, she behaved very intrusive with those type of comments. Like, it was very, very, it was like a slap on the face for me, you know? It was too intrusive for me. And I'm not from that culture, so it's very hard to explain. Even if you come and tell me, yeah, but this is the culture, that's not my background. I wasn't raised with that mindset, so still for me was shocking. When you travel to another country where things are very different, you just don't understand things. For me, and some things that are some behaviors that are very respectful or that showed respect in our country can show disrespect in another culture. That for me was very disrespectful. So inside of me, it was like a battle of, in my heart, deep down in my heart, I do want to be a mother, but on the other side of my pride, I don't want anyone to tell me what is it that I have to do with my own life, with my own body and everything, you know. So it was a battle inside of me. But one day I was just talking with a friend, and she told me, Ro, you can ask yourself, why is it that all of this bothers you so much? And I was able to understand that there was a lot of fear within me for becoming a mother and for this changing my whole life and everything that for me was to become a mother, which is something that brings a huge responsibility. I didn't take it any slightly, you know. But at the end, I fully surrendered and I fully trusted Marwa, that we would do this together, that we would be a team. Or maybe that's what I interpreted, because the behaviors later were very different sometimes. And I learned that maybe a man wants to have kids, and it doesn't mean that he wants to be a father. And maybe he wants to have a wife, but it doesn't mean that he wants to be a husband. And I kind of learned, and I kind of had my lesson about it. Maro and I didn't get married, and I believe that from his side, it was this promise to his subscribers that one day he will. But I never felt this promise. He told me a couple of times, yes, I want to make you my wife. You're my wife. You're my wife. But I doubt it. Also, of course, when things in our relationship got not so nice, he expressed why he didn't marry me and that he didn't want to marry me. And it's okay, because that's one of the things that maybe, yes, I got pregnant faster, very fast, but I wasn't going to get married that fast. And I wasn't ready for marriage with him. And I must admit that when he was talking so much about it, because everyone was asking, like, you have to marry her and things must be this quick, and everything seems to be so quick in this environment. I told him, don't propose. But he didn't even know how proposing works. You know, I come from the Western culture, and if I ever get married, or if I ever dreamed about getting married, we dream about this surprise and beautiful proposal, an engagement ring and everything. He didn't know anything about it. So anyway, that is the beginning of this relationship and how fast everything moved. And honestly, I opened my heart for things to work. I never go anywhere thinking that it may fail. We should be walking in life thinking that things will work. even if they don't. Um, I've always been a long-term relationship person. Um, as I said before, I was coming from a 5 years old relationship, and I always commit to people, even if it's there's. My mindset about marriage was very different. I do appreciate that my relationship with Mara changed my mindset about motherhood. It opened my heart to motherhood, so I'm very grateful for that. Because now it showed me that yes, I do want to be a mother, and that I do want more. Um, and it opened my heart to know that I do want to get married, and I do want a wedding and everything. Yes, because I was quite like 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 I don't care, with this mindset. So I'm very grateful for that new mindset that brought to my life. I believe that things started to change throughout the pregnancy because we didn't know each other. So we started to get to know each other during the pregnancy. So during the pregnancy, I cannot say that I'm the same woman, because all my hormones and everything. So things that maybe were not I think that actually was a very good lesson to know what type of questions I should ask in a first date or at the beginning of a relationship that I didn't know or I didn't ask with Maren. Once again, I just jumped into the pool like, let's go, let's try. That was my how everything initiated from my side, like, okay, fears, move out, here I go. That's the way that I enter into this relationship, hoping for the best. Of course, I was hoping for the best. And once again, we had a lot of mutual connection in the terms in the way that we wanted to live our life as well. We were both very into social media. I already had my YouTube channel, and when I set my mind to do this more professionally on social media, he appeared into my life. Marwa wasn't someone that came and told me, oh, there is this YouTube, why don't you open your YouTube and start your YouTube? I already had my YouTube channel. I wasn't being that consistent. I wasn't posting. I wasn't doing. Even if I showed you if you check the year I opened my music channel, is even older than Marwa's. But I felt in that moment of my life that I was just wasting a lot of my traveling time that I dreamt, and I didn't want. I wanted to travel and to show the world and to make videos while traveling, and I wasn't doing it. So when I said, okay, I will do it, I met Marwa. But I kind of wasted like almost 4 years of my life traveling and not filming. So everything for me was a sign also that I needed to move with him. I felt that it was going to be ideal to travel together and to make our videos because we were both doing the same, and to push each other in our careers. So everything was like a good sign. The lifestyle about just traveling the world and living somewhere that is surrounded by nature as well, pretty much disconnect from the chaos of the city. That was also the things that I wanted in my life. So there was a lot that was, let's say, on my favor, that was showing that things could work. There was a lot of potential. I guess we started to see the ugly part during the pregnancy, and we tried and we tried and we tried, of course. Even though there were many painful moments, I couldn't have separated during the pregnancy, like no crazy, not even crazy, because one, I didn't want to go through it alone. Number two, I wanted Marwa to be there for the birth. I wanted to get to know him. I wanted to see his very dreamed baby. I knew how important this having a child was for him. So I wouldn't have thought about like an official separation through pregnancy, no. But we were stumbling a little bit, but trying and trying, you know. There were like thousands of advices of how hard marriage is. And even though we were not married, I kind of feel like we both adopted this feeling of marriage, of believing that we are a married couple, and we have to fight together. So even in the ups and the downs, let's keep going. So from my side and from my heart, that was how I adopted. Later happened the Labor Day, and something that I expressed is that I felt abandoned by him, and a lot of people judged me by that, but no one can take away what happened and that he did what he did. It's very sad that a lot of women are defending this or going against me just for the culture, because it's a man, just because they cannot take it, and nothing can take away what I felt, what I was expecting from him, and that he did what he did. So it was very difficult to recover from that. During the postpartum, it was very hard as well. It was very hard. I don't intend this video to talk trash about Marwa or anything, but there were a lot of things that were wrong and that shouldn't happen in our relationship, and that's what pushed me to make this decision. Yes, I feel mad, I feel disappointed, I feel sad that things didn't work. Yes, of course. It was a very painful process. That's why I kept quiet and silent when I left. But I had to. I know how hard I tried to make a living in the village, but honestly, it was very hard for me. It's funny because sometimes some people say that happiness comes within us. And yeah, that is a part that is true. But the environment is very important. I think Marwa met the happiest woman in Mexico. And I slowly started to become smaller. I slowly started to change. And I was fighting this battle, trying to make things work. But I felt very lonely on the boat, hundreds of times. And I'm not talking about being alone or the solitude, which is something that I'm very used to, and I love my solitude. But when you feel lonely when being with someone, I felt that 3 times more painful. I did try to have a lot of compassion from his background. Marwa grew up in a very harsh environment, and what he learned as love is very different from what I learned. So I did try to be compassionate about it and to have empathy and to understand that sometimes you cannot give what you don't have. And from my side, I did try very much that we both teach each other like these love languages. The way that we show love and we receive love, it was very different. I feel like he was expecting from me to give him something that it wasn't coming naturally because I wasn't receiving what I needed from him. If you know, like, if you understand that, that was the issue that was happening. And I think we were never able to meet each other in the middle. Unfortunately, a lot of ugly things also happen in the middle, which I'm not going to talk about. But yeah, the weight of all of that led me to make this decision, to make promises um, about improving, making things better. Words disappear in the wind. I think we reached a point where he was expecting from me to do certain things, and I was expecting from him to do certain things. And it was an ego fighting on, you have to start. No, you have to start. No, you have to do first. No, you have to do first. I do feel like the man must lead the relationship, that he's supposed to be the head of the family. And I do feel I allow him that position. But I do believe that a good leader can also should be a good listener and should take advices from other people and should be really open to listen to the woman next to him. Sadly, in this relationship, I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel loved a lot of time. The typical opinion is, Rocío, he bought you a car, he bought you the horses, you have a big house. That's not my love language. The car wasn't mine, number one. The horses was a very beautiful act of love from him, yes, and he knows how much I appreciate it. And maybe if I need to be clear about the business with the horses that Marwa started, I have nothing to do with it. A lot of people think it's my fault that he's buying and he got crazy. Marwa just get obsessed with things and there's nothing that you can stop him. I didn't agree in a lot of things with that business, and he didn't like it when I disagree on things, so I couldn't say much of my opinions. I felt that I didn't have a voice in a lot of moments, and that's why I don't want to be seen in the business idea with the horses, because I don't agree. One thing is something very different, just to have a couple of horses for personal use, and then another one to have a business with a lot of horses, extremely expensive ones, and everything that take. That is Mara's idea, and I do hope for the best. But when I disagree and when I express my opinion, I was the worst. I was his enemy, and it was very difficult to deal with that. One of the things that would have been, when I said at the beginning that I was ready to commit with someone, I was ready to build an empire with someone. And something that men don't understand many times is that you can get richer with the right woman, because for us women, we are the ones who multiple times we bring the vision, and the man is the one to make it a reality. That's how we combine feminine and masculine energy. But sometimes men think that if the woman didn't contribute financially, she didn't contribute. Maybe she brought you the $1 million idea, but she didn't put any money, is you didn't do anything. And that way is very hard to build with someone. If I must be honest, even this idea of marriage, it was very hard with someone that has this mindset that a woman will come and take 50% of everything that he worked so hard for in a possible separation or divorce. With someone that is afraid of a woman coming to take everything from him, will never fully open his heart to build the empire, will never open fully his heart for a woman that wants to build everything instead of breaking it. All the things that I express today in this video, even though I know a lot of people will not get my message in the way that I'm trying to communicate it, it doesn't come from a judgmental place, or I'm not pointing anyone with a finger saying how bad of a person they were. No, I think we made very common mistakes that a lot of relationships and couples make also, for the lack of experience, for the lack of partnership, for the lack of partnership, for the lack of seeing each other, as I got you and you got me. I think that's something that was missed in this relationship. I've been shown that I wasn't respected a couple of times. I was shown that I wasn't protected a couple of times. And, all that just led, when a woman tolerates certain behaviors, your soul just starts to break and break and break. I just didn't want to be a frustrated woman. I refuse to build a family where I have no voice. He made me believe that I had it, yes, but then my opinions were ignored. And for those moments that I got quiet and I got silent, if you are a woman going through the same situations, you know how your soul feels when you accept those things, when you accept those behaviors. So I refuse to live a life like that. I have a lot of values that I want to bring up into my future family. And I just didn't feel that there was space for them neither. So if I am in a relationship where we are thinking long term, when we are thinking family, where we are thinking getting married, having more children, build a life together, I cannot just settle. I want to publicly say sorry to Marwa for those moments where I didn't meet your needs, for those moments where you felt disrespected for me, for those moments where you felt that I didn't listen. And I think we do have a very different understanding of what to listen is. So I think that also played against us a lot of times. I'm very sorry for the very ugly part that we went through, for when I said hurtful things to you. And I forgive you for the things that you did to me. And I just hope that we can do the best for Maisha as a mother and a father. I do hope that you take responsibility and you do things right. Kids don't just grow. And I know that your story, the way you grow up and everything, but you can create a new story for your son because God is giving you that opportunity. Sometimes I feel like you couldn't embrace the amount of love that I had for you, and that you couldn't see me, and you couldn't see that I was there for you, and how many times you only saw me as the enemy. I'm wearing a lot of makeup today. I shouldn't be. I should have planned it before. I do believe that God sent my family to Kenya so I could live with them. And so I didn't have to live along with all my belongings and my child in my arms. I do believe that my family were God sent to pick me up there. And they didn't know that I was leaving until they found out there. They saw many situations that they're not happy about. And but they have been very respectful and humble all the time. And because of how much they love me, they all decided also to stay quiet and just to live peacefully. And I do believe that we did the right thing. I feel like I did the right thing. Of course, I'm still letting go, otherwise maybe I wouldn't get emotional for the things that still pain me in my heart. I went through other breakups, and of course the pain had many different levels, but the special part of this one is having a child and being in the middle of creating a family. Unfortunately, we have very different values, or a very different definition for what a family is. So also that probably just made it not to work. And it was very hard for me not to see it as a failure after all I did. After that extreme courageous move that I did. But it's okay. I have grown a lot from it. I'm very grateful for everything that I lived as well. I learned a lot of new yeses and a lot of new no's that I have in life now. And I'm grateful for that as well. I feel more mature. I respect myself even more. I love myself even more. Also, it helped me to understand how loved I am by our Father in heaven. And that fills me so much. That fills my heart so much. And that brings all the peace that I have today. That is it. I felt it was time to share this, so we can both just move forward and continue with what life has to offer us from now on. I think it was important also to share. This is my perspective from our relationship. He has a very different perspective, and that's why things were just colliding, of course. I don't ask you to be one team or the other. I don't want to be his enemy. We have a child together, and that will keep us united somehow forever. So I will always try to think twice before disrespecting him in videos or in the public eye, because I respect Maisha, and I hope the same from his side, or I expect the same from his side. I've always been more expressive than him, and I do understand. I do know where it comes from. But this was very important for me and to share with all of you, because I know you had met me through him. Many of you have followed the relationship from the very first beginning, and you have seen a lot. I know a lot of people feel like you are part of the team or the other once again, and like you have to defend someone or the other, and this is not the case, or it shouldn't be like that. I know a lot of people also saw a lot of things that were left unsaid, and that you understand things without even us explaining it or expressing it. And I know a lot of people just cannot see, or will see what they want to see. And this is just a general thing that happens everywhere in every single environment. I must admit that a lot of times I just fight harder because of all the hate that I saw around us, and all this idea of, and all the people that were just waiting for this kind of news for a long time and wanted to see this relationship fail. I fight it. I fought harder to make it work. But I do hope that something better comes for Marwa, and I know that something better would come for me. And once again, I'm grateful for everything that happened. I'm extremely grateful for Maisha. That was the biggest gift ever. That is it. Thanks for watching. Please be respectful on the comments. And hopefully you stayed here for the next chapter of my life. I will see you very soon.